Good evening. President Bongbong Marcos appoints Justice Secretary Boying Remulla as the new Ombudsman. In a statement on Tuesday, October 7, the Presidential Communications Office announces that Remulla is replacing Samuel Martres, whose 7-year term expired in July. According to the PCO, the administration remains firm in its commitment to fight corruption. The PCO adds that Remulla, in his new role, is expected to uphold transparency, strengthen anti-corruption measures, and ensure that justice is administered fairly and efficiently. An ombudsman is tasked with investigating and prosecuting government officials accused of graft and corruption. The PCO emphasizes that there will be no sacred cows, no exemptions, and no excuses, vowing that those who betray public trust will be held accountable. From a total of 17 applicants for the post, Remulla and 6 others were shortlisted by the Judicial and Bar Council. Remulla's bid as chief graft buster did not go smoothly, as he first had to secure clearance from the Office of the Ombudsman due to his pending cases. On September 12, the Ombudsman dismissed cases filed against Remulla and others in connection with the arrest and detention of former President Rodrigo Duterte by the International Criminal Court. The case stemmed from Senator Amy Marcos's allegations in May that Duterte's arrest involved graft, arbitrary detention, and usurpation of authority and judicial functions, among others. Remulla secured his clearance from the Office of the Ombudsman on September 25. Remulla served as the 59th Secretary of Justice since June 2022. President Bongbong Marcos emphasizes that the erring actions of a few public servants do not reflect the integrity of the entire government. In Part 2 of BBM Podcast Episode 5, Marcos expresses frustration over how the government is being painted in a negative light because of the wrongdoings of a few. Several lawmakers and government officials have recently been tagged in schemes wherein they allegedly received kickbacks from flood control projects.
These corrupt people are not the face of government. All they are is the face of corruption. Yeah. That's all they are. They are not typical of government. You cannot paint everyone in government with the same brush as all of these corrupt operators that you see in government.
Marcos stresses that many government employees are making serious sacrifices in the name of public service. He points out that there are government workers who spend time away from their families and even use their own money.
I have always said there are so many people in government who are very good, who are dedicated, who make sacrifices, who give everything that they can to their service. Of course, everyone needs the money, but most government workers would rather just be able to do their work and actually serve. Yeah. That's why they're there.
Congress is currently investigating massive corruption in the government infrastructure projects. Marcos earlier formed the Independent Commission for Infrastructure to conduct an independent probe into government infrastructure works over the past decade. Commission on Elections Chairman George Garcia says 6 more senators received campaign donations from contractors. In a radio interview on Tuesday, October 7, Garcia notes that the donors of these senators are among the 55 contractors who contributed during the 2022 elections. He says this is based on the COMELEC statements of contributions and expenditures. Garcia refuses to disclose their identities pending the results of COMELEC's investigation. However, Garcia explains that contractors donating to politicians are not necessarily violating the law. Section 95C of the Omnibus Election Code outlines prohibited contributions for purposes of partisan activity. This includes campaign contributions from contractors or suppliers doing business with the government. However, private contractors are not included in this prohibition. Garcia notes that some of the 55 contractors operate in industries such as glass, aluminum, and real estate, all of which belong to the private sector. In the case of Senator Cheese Escudero, his campaign contributor Lawrence Lubiano admitted to working in a company involved in government projects. Lubiano said he donated 30 million pesos to Escudero's campaign. According to Garcia, Lubiano already appeared before the COMELEC and reiterated that the donation was made in his personal capacity as a friend. Escudero is expected to appear before the poll body on October 13 in line with COMELEC's show cause order. For the other 54 contractors, Garcia says the COMELEC is still waiting for feedback from the Department of Public Works and Highways to determine if they were involved in government projects. He says these contractors contributed to the campaigns of presidential and vice presidential candidates, as well as local candidates in the House of Representatives, governors, and vice governors. Meanwhile, a poll watchdog urges Garcia to publicize the names of the senators and the flag donors. Contradaya convener Danilo Arao points out that the statements of contributions and expenditures are public documents. Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong says he resigned as a special advisor to the Independent Commission on Infrastructure following the remarks of Palace Press Officer Claire Castro. In an ambush interview on Tuesday, October 7, Magalong was pressed for the reason behind his resignation. He cites Castro's statements regarding his previous role as the ICI's special advisor.
Malaki ang epekto. Unang-una, nakita nyo naman, kumbaga parang wala akong karapatang mag-imbestiga. Yun ang message doon sa nilabas ni Yusek Claire na press con niya. Na kumbaga sinabihan ako na wala kang karapatang mag-imbestiga kasi special advisor ka lang. Tapos kung ano-ano pa mga sinabi sa akin. So, pabayaan na natin yan. Ang importante is we're moving forward.
At the September 26 Palace briefing, Castro noted that Magalong was designated as a special advisor and not as an investigator. She reminded Magalong that he holds no authority over the Philippine National Police or the Criminal Investigation and Detection Group. Castro also said she heard that Magalong's special advisor position was being questioned. In his resignation letter addressed to President Bongbong Marcos, Magalong said the palace's remarks undermined the role and mandate entrusted to him. This time, Magalong hopes that the capacity of his successor, former Philippine National Police Chief General Rodolfo Azurin, will not be undermined.
Kilala ko siya at sigurado akong equally capable siya. O kaya siguro baka mas magaling pa yan sa akin. No? Kaya huwag kayong mag-alala. Gagawin niya yung kanyang mandate, kaya perform niya yan. Basta importante, huwag lang siyang i-undermine yung kapasidad niya. At bayaan siyang mag-imbestiga. At sana huwag siyang pakialaman. Huwag siyang pigilan. Kasi ang gusto naman natin dito, malaman natin yung katotohanan. So, ibigay yung otoridad sa kanya. Huwag sanang gawin yung ginawa nila sa akin.
The State Weather Bureau says the southwest monsoon or habagat season this year has officially ended. In an advisory on Tuesday, October 7, Pagasa says habagat has been weakening during the past few weeks. The agency notes the gradual change of the country's weather pattern due to the strengthening of the high-pressure system over East Asia. It also cites the southward migration of the Intertropical Convergence Zone. Pagasa likewise marks the end of the rainy season over the western sections of Luzon and Visayas. According to Pagasa, the country is now transitioning to the northeast monsoon or amihan season. The State Weather Bureau explains that the habagat brings warm, moist air with rain from the ocean, while the amihan carries cool and dry weather with slight rainfall. And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.